Picture an average morning. Eyes flutter open, the alarms glow, marking a new segment of your life. You hurry through routines, measuring each moment by what must be accomplished before the next. The mind whispers, "Time is precious, don't waste it." That whisper, repeated endlessly, forms an anchor that may feel comforting, but can also create tension. The question arises, is time truly the master, or is the mind forging a script that we all agree to follow? In quantum research, certain experiments suggest that our conventional sense of before and after might be incomplete. Particles behave in ways that blur the boundaries of causality. Some mystics echo this sentiment, teaching that the distinction between past and future is an artifice. They speak of a spacious present that holds every possibility, every memory, every dream. So, if quantum theory points to a fluid timeline, and ancient wisdom insists on the illusory nature of sequential events, what does that mean for the way we organize our days, our hopes, our regrets? Time is not the relentless clock you glance at each morning. It is not the set of numbers on your phone or the unbroken chain of hours that structure your routine. Something far more subtle and elusive lies behind those ticking seconds. In hushed intervals, between inhaling and exhaling, between waking and drifting to sleep, a quiet possibility emerges. Could time be less of a straight line and more of a trick of the mind? Pause for a moment and consider how often life revolves around deadlines, appointments, anniversaries. Each date or hour feels carved in stone, as though the universe itself decreed this rigid sequence of events. One day bleeds into the next, a tapestry of to-do lists, obligations, and fleeting triumphs. Yet beneath these ordinary rhythms, there might be a more flexible current, one that defies neat compartments and linear assumptions. This current is not a mere theory, but a felt sense that reality might weave past, present, and future together in a single, ever-shifting tapestry. The mind, as many philosophers have noted, clings to the idea of a timeline for security. I was born at this date. I did these things. I will achieve that goal in the future. It shapes identity around a linear biography, as though one can plot existence on a straight axis. But consider how memories can be triggered by a scent, a song, or a sudden déjà vu. In that flash, the boundary between then and now dissolves, and the mind briefly occupies multiple layers of time. One might recall a childhood scene so vividly that it feels immediate. Meanwhile, the body stands in the present, yet a whisper of the future tugs at the mind. What if tomorrow never arrives as I expect? This is not a contradiction. It's a clue that time might be a flexible stage upon which consciousness dances. Many yearn to rewrite the past or fast forward the future. This yearning stems from the fear that life is slipping away, second by second. We cling to the clock's progression because it provides a sense of order in a chaotic world. But if that order is partly an illusion, how do we address our deepest insecurities? Perhaps the real question is not how to control time, but how to perceive it differently. Instead of seeing it as a cage, we might sense it as a field, an expansive domain where moments overlap, echo, and sometimes fold back on themselves. Notice how different cultures handle time. Some place emphasis on cyclical rhythms, seasons, harvests, festivals that repeat with comforting regularity. Others fixate on linear progress, always moving forward, always chasing the next milestone. The latter can breed anxiety, a sense of never having enough hours. But if time itself is more subjective than absolute, could we find solace in stepping outside this rush, if only for an instant? Ask yourself, does the clock on the wall truly hold power, or is it the mind's acceptance of that power that keeps you on edge? Close your eyes for a few breaths. Recall a vivid memory, perhaps a day when the world felt impossibly bright, or a moment of unexpected sorrow. Sense the details as though they are unfolding right now. Observe how the mind leaps back to that scene, bridging past and present in one fluid movement. Then let the memory go and consider the possibility that future imaginings arise in a similar manner. The difference is only in how the mind labels them. That was then, this is yet to come. But the space in which both memory and anticipation appear is the same silent awareness you're experiencing this very moment. Quantum perspectives sometimes describe reality as a superposition, multiple states existing simultaneously until observed. Could time function in a parallel way? Ancient sages often hinted that the eternal now is the only genuine reality, with past and future being mental constructs. If so, the lines you draw between yesterday and tomorrow might be illusions that help you navigate daily tasks, but do not represent the deeper truth of how consciousness experiences existence. One might ask, if time isn't strictly linear, how do I maintain structure in my life? The mind craves order, especially in a world brimming with complexity. There's no need to discard practical schedules, but perhaps you can wear them lightly, acknowledge them as helpful tools rather than unyielding rules. This shift can ease the burden of feeling constantly rushed or behind. It can also open doors to a more creative engagement with life, where each moment becomes a canvas of infinite possibility rather than a mere stepping stone on a rigid timeline. Some individuals feel haunted by regrets, longing to travel back and fix what went wrong. Others obsess over the future, determined to secure happiness through careful planning. Both extremes ignore the pliability of time. Regret is a chain that binds the present to a static view of the past, while anxiety over tomorrow traps the mind in a fictional scenario. What if instead you saw each moment as a window into a broader spectrum of reality, where memories, hopes, and experiences merge, and your presence can influence them all? Consider how certain spiritual practices approach time. They speak of timeless awareness, the idea that consciousness resides outside the constraints of ticking seconds. In that timeless state, one perceives events less like beads on a string and more like patterns in a tapestry, woven all at once, each thread interconnected. This perspective can sound abstract, but when you slip into a deeply focused state, perhaps during a creative task or while gazing at the stars, time can feel suspended, leaving only a gentle sense of presence. In those intervals, the future no longer looms and the past no longer clings. Let's attempt something. Observe the nearest clock, watch its second-hand move, then let your attention drift inward. Notice your breath. Sense the heartbeat in your chest. If you truly sink into that awareness, the ticking may begin to feel separate from your internal experience. Each second becomes a soft echo, not a command. Now imagine the past year, the next year, coexisting in that same spacious awareness. Visualize them as overlapping images, swirling gently, no longer bound by a linear chain. Observe how the mind attempts to label them before and after, and gently question those labels. This is not mere daydreaming. Some quantum researchers argue that time might be emergent from deeper principles rather than fundamental. That means it could be a product of how we observe and measure reality rather than an absolute framework. If that resonates, the door opens to rethinking not just personal history, but collective history. Societies, too, shape their narratives by choosing which events to remember and which to forget. Could that selective memory be yet another sign that time is malleable, subject to the perspective of the beholder? One might protest, "I can't ignore the deadlines at work or the birthdays of those I love." Indeed, practical life demands certain temporal signposts, but acknowledging that these signposts may not represent the full story can release an undercurrent of tension. Instead of feeling enslaved by the calendar, you begin to see it as a helpful sketch, a map that does not contain the entire territory. That shift can ease anxiety and spark a quiet confidence in the fluid dance of existence. Reflect on personal experience. Recall a moment that felt like it lasted forever, perhaps a hush before a crucial decision, or an instant of profound awe. Then recall an event that vanished in a blink, leaving you wondering where the time went. In both cases, the clock continued at its usual pace, yet your perception altered the experience. This discrepancy hints that time's essence might be subjective, shaped by emotion, attention, and depth of engagement. Is it possible that the true seat of freedom lies in recognizing that we stand outside the flow of linear time, witnessing it like a stream? The body, of course, ages and the world rotates, but consciousness itself can slip between these frames, noticing the illusions of before and after. Some traditions say that when we awaken to this truth, we move beyond the fear of running out of time. We begin to live more fully, more generously, as though each instant is both complete in itself and intimately connected to all others. Try a small experiment when you have a moment of stillness. Gaze at your own reflection in a mirror, letting the seconds drift. Observe how the mind clings to the current moment, labeling it now, while memories flash behind your eyes and future imaginings flutter in the background. Let them swirl together. Notice if a sense of timelessness arises, a recognition that the self watching in the mirror and the self remembering childhood or dreaming of tomorrow share a single field of awareness. No need to cast aside the clock or dismiss the calendar. Those tools serve a purpose in communal life, but allow yourself to question the authority you grant them. Consider the possibility that the mind's constructs of time might be partial illusions, placeholders for a more profound reality that quantum theory and ancient teachings have hinted at for centuries. Embrace the notion that you can step into a dimension where each moment feels both infinite and interconnected. Return now to the ordinary tasks, the day's responsibilities, the fleeting errands. Yet carry within you a subtle awareness that linear time might be an approximation, a convenience. In that awareness, a fresh spaciousness can blossom, one that welcomes the unknown, cherishes the ephemeral, and remains open to new insights. The hours and minutes continue to pass, but your relationship to them can shift from servitude to curiosity. Some might label this perspective radical or impractical. Others may find solace in it. The point is not to adopt a new dogma, but to allow a crack in the fortress of assumptions. Through that crack, light pours in, illuminating how flexible reality might be. In that glow, time stops feeling like a cage and begins to resemble a canvas, one on which your experiences are painted in layers, each shade blending with the next. Consider then the quiet possibility that every moment, past, present, future, dances in a shared field of awareness. Let that possibility invite you to pause, reflect, and sense the profound mystery that is time. When the clock strikes the next hour, ask yourself if you are merely moving forward or if you are standing in a timeless center where all moments converge. Let that question guide you, not to a definitive answer, but to an ongoing exploration of what it truly means to exist beyond the ticking hands.